Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight's session. Warm welcome to you all. Just give me a second. Let me just get started quickly. Let's wait. It's already 9:01. Let's get started. So in the last session, we discussed about the evaluation context. As part of the evaluation context, we discussed about the row context and filter context, and also explained in detail what is the difference between row context and filter context. And also we have discussed about the initial filter context. Followed with it, we discussed about what is calculated column, what is measure, and the difference between the calculated column and measure. Also we discussed about it. And today's session, we will just shift into the advanced topic of the DAX. Okay, so what we will do is, as part of this, we will get started with the filter functions. As part of the filter functions, we have the calculate function. Calculate is one of the important functions in DAX, using which we can do the complex or advanced data analytics with the calculate function. And the next one is the calculate table and filter, all selected, all except keep filter, remove filter. All these functions we will now jump in and take a look at each of the functions in Power BI Desktop. Before that, let us understand what exactly the calculate function is all about. So what is calculate functions and what is calculate function and what exactly we can do with calculate function. Okay, and how it helps us to perform the advanced analytics. We will take a look at it now. So this is the syntax for the calculate function. Okay, this is the calculate functions. The first argument is your expression. This is mandatory. The second argument is your filter one and filter two. These are all the optional one. Okay, the filter can be. So here, you might be wondering what is this filter is all about and what is this expression. So expression is something like your, let's take a simple example, sum of sales. That is your expression. This is an aggregation. You want to do some kind of aggregation, the sum of sales. Or you can find out the total number of transactions in your order table, count function, or the sum function, right? So you are using it here. That is what your expression. And but this is mandatory, okay? And the filters are optional. You can use either a Boolean filter, or you can use a table filter expression, or you can use filter modification functions. You can use any one of, or you can use the combination of all these three also. Okay, you can use the Boolean filter expression, you can use a table filter expression, you can use filter modification functions as your filter. Okay, or the combination of all the three, or you can use a Boolean filter. If you want to use only the Boolean filter, you can use it. So as I said, the calculate function is a very simple function. It does complex things. It's one of the most dynamic functions. It helps us to add deeper insights to our reports. So essentially, the calculate function allows us to change the context of a calculation within a measure. This is what we discussed, right? I just showed you when I created a when I used a SumX function as part of the calculate column, and when I used a calculate function there, it was doing the filter context there, right? It was helping us, the calculate function was helping us to do the context transition from row context to filter context. We were able to do it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say here. So it allows us to change the context of your calculation within a measure. So wherein the context is determined by your environment. Okay, the ability to change the context within a measure is very important. The ability to change the context, the environment. Okay, the calculate function is very much helpful in terms of completely changing the filter context. Okay, that is coming from your visual or so. The calculate function DAX evaluates an expression in a modified filter context. Okay, that is the thing here. And the next one is there are two parts here, aggregation on the filter. What do you mean by 1 second? There are two parts here, the aggregation, which is mandatory, and the filter, like I said earlier. The calculate function is very similar to Excel SUMIF function. If you guys have worked in Excel, and if you are familiar with SUMIF function, it is somewhat identical to that one. So what we can do with calculate? Now you understood what is, that's what we discussed, right? So you can modify the filter context of the expression, and also it can override the already existing filter context with the one that's been specified in the calculate expression. Okay, if the filter context does not exist, so you can create a new filter context, or you can modify the existing filter context. You can, override the existing filter context. Okay, all these things are possible with calculate function. So now let us take with a simple example so that you will be able to understand very clearly with this examples. Okay, and if you see here, this is the measure I created, a total sales for units sold over 10. Or okay, let me do one thing. I just modify this one. There is a problem here. Okay, here. Okay, total sales in UK. In UK. So in this case, the calculate function, what is the syntax for this one? The first argument is supposed to be your expression. It is mandatory. And the second the second argument is your filter. In this case, I have used the Boolean filter. Boolean filter. What is that? Boolean filter. One second. It is an optional, but in this case, I've used the Boolean filter. So I don't want to do the sum of sales on the entire table, because let's say my table has 10 million records in it. If I do a sum of sales on the sales column of this table for the table which has 10 million records, it takes a lot of memory. It takes a lot of time, right? So instead, what we are doing is we are very particular about, in this case, to find out the total sales made in United Kingdom alone. Okay. So in this case, by using the filter condition, what we do is in this case, I've used the Boolean filter. This is called your Boolean filter. So that's what I mentioned here. This is called your Boolean filter. This one will return true. If this value United Kingdom is available in this column country of this table, then this one will return true. And then it will filter only the records that are related to United Kingdom. And then it does the sum of sales. It finds out the total on the sales column. Got it? So this is called your Boolean filter. Okay. And also I discussed about, you can use, so in this case, I have used more than one filter condition. Earlier, I have used only one filter condition, United Kingdom. Now I had another condition. So the expression, comma, filter 1, comma, filter 2. So in this case, the quantity, units sold more than 10. So in this case, we are interested in the total sales for units sold more than 10 in United Kingdom. We wanted to see the total sales. Okay. So in that case, we have used the two filter condition. In this case, these two filter conditions are Boolean filter. This is also a Boolean filter. This is also Boolean filter. You know what is Boolean? Boolean is nothing but true or false, right? The Boolean values are true or false. This one, in your country column, if you have a value something like this, United Kingdom, then this one will become true. And then those records have true. In the sense, only United Kingdom related records only get filtered. And also on top of that, it apply another filter. So, okay, I have the United Kingdom related transactions got filtered. On top of that, I wanted to filter only those transactions where we sold more than 10 units within United Kingdom. Okay, it is applying another filter. So what will happen is your number of records will get reduced. Okay, so in this case, I have used Boolean filter expression. Now I just go back to the syntax here. The syntax is here. Expression, in our case, sum of sales amount, right? Here, sales is a table name. And then here, or this is your column name. In this column, I want to do the sum on this. Okay, and then the filter one is nothing but in this case, country is equal to United Kingdom, UK. I just write it simply Boolean, and then another filter was quantity is greater than 10, right? These two are Boolean filters. Okay, next one is okay. The next one is a Boolean filter condition. You can use it, Boolean filter expression. So these are all Boolean filter expression. Okay. The next one is table filter expression. Followed by this, we'll discuss about filter modification functions. So in the case of filter, instead of using Boolean filter, you can use table filter expression also. Okay, or you can use the combination of these two also, Boolean as well as table filter, and filter modification function also we can use it. Now let us see what is table filter expression. So as I said, this is the first argument of your calculate function supposed to be an expression. It is mandatory. Without any specifying any expression, as a first argument in your calculate function, it will not work. And second argument is your filter. It is optional. In this case, I did not use Boolean filter. Instead, I've used the filter function. Filter function is available as part of DAX. The filter function is an iterative function. Okay, it iterates row by row. So in this case, what happens is the filter function is not only iterating function, it returns a table. It creates a table behind the scene. Okay, so here the first argument for your filter function is your table name. As I discussed earlier, as part of the count family function, where in case of any iterating function, the iterating function, majority of the iterating function ends with x. In this case, the filter function doesn't ends with x, filter function also performs row by row computation. Okay, it iterates one row at a time. Which one? The filter function. Since it is an iterative function, the first argument is supposed to be table name, comma, the country equal to United Kingdom. Okay, here we are doing the filtering. Okay, so take only United Kingdom related data, subset of the data from your sales W04, you take it only for this country. So in this case, we have used the table filter expression. This is your table filter expression. Earlier, we have used the Boolean filter, and the next one is table filter. And I can use, see in this case, what happened, I have used something else called, look here, all function. If you see here, Boolean filter, and then next one is the filter modification function. This is called your filter modification function. Boolean filter, you can use it. You can use a table filter function, and then you can use filter modification function. The all function is a filter modification function. Hope you understood. So in this case, what happened? And as usual, this is mandatory. You need to specify the first argument this expression is very much important. In this case, I've used the total sales. Total sales is a measure. Once you create a measure, you can reuse it. Already I've created a measure by the name of total sales. In the case of total sales measure, I have used sum of sales. Okay, sum of sales column. I have something like sum of sales column. This is the value got already stored in my measure called total sales. Instead of doing the sum again and again, I just reuse the total sales. Total sales here. This measure, I'm going to reuse it. So even this measure, we have used the expression, sum function. Okay, the next one is the Boolean filter. The quantity is more than 10 and the location key is Hyderabad. For this subset of the data, it will select it. Okay, and if you see here, if a measure using calculate contains a modifier, filter modifier, something like all selected key filter. Look here, this is your all function. This all is something like a filter modifier. Okay, so this is a Boolean expression you know very well. Along with that, we have the filter modification function, all function. You don't worry about this. We'll explain it little later in today's sessions. right? So if I explain you now itself, the flow will get disturbed. Okay, now what we will do is, now you understood as part of filters, you can use either the Boolean filter, or you can use stable filter function, or you can use the filter modification function. The next one is the order of evaluation of your calculate function. In what order the expressions will get evaluated within this calculate function. Okay, so in this case, this one will get evaluated first. The filter function will get evaluated first, always. Okay, and then the expression will get evaluated. So this is the one, the expression, right? This is the one you need to understand very clearly. The calculate function, in the case of calculate function, the expression is always the last portion to be evaluated. First, this one will get evaluated, and then this one will get evaluated. Okay, so in this case, first it apply the filter. Okay, you don't take the entire data from my fact sales. Take only the records wherein we sold more than 10 quantity. On top of that, you find out the sum of total sales. So this one will get evaluated first, and then it will give. So this is logically correct, right? You just think about it. In the fact sales table, you have 1 million records are there. Okay, and out of the 1 million records, let's say you have, let's say in this case, 10 I mentioned, let's say hypothetically 100 products. Okay, more than 100. If you, out of 1 million records, if you find out the transactions wherein we sold more than 100 records, it comes down to, let's say, just the 100K, 1 lakh records. 1 million here got reduced to 1 lakh records because of this condition. So the 1 lakh records, on top of the 1 lakh records, if you do the sum of sales, it will be much faster. Instead of doing the sum of sales on the 1 million record, 1 million is how much? It is equal to 10 lakhs records. 10 lakhs, right? 1 million is 10 lakhs. But here, for this filtering condition, we have matching to this filtering condition, we have just only 1 lakh record is there. Okay. So now what will happen is, of this 1 lakh record, it will do the sum of sales amount. So in that case, it will be faster, right? So the DAX is pretty smart. First it evaluates the filter condition. Okay, it takes the subset of the data, and then it does the sum on this one. It's something like you want to go to some place, right? From your home to your office. First, you come up with the plan. Which one is the shortcut, right? Once you come up with the plan of the shortcut plan route, right? So if you use that route, you can reach your office faster. The same thing, okay? First, it filters the data. It takes a subset of the data. On top of that, it applies the sum of sales. Okay. So in this case, the filter function will get evaluated first. And the next one is, I have included, so in this case, I have used only one filter condition, greater than 10, right? So here I have greater than 10 and equal to Hyderabad. In this case, I'm using I have used the two filter condition here. Now you tell me, of these two filter condition, which filter condition will get evaluated first? Which filter condition get evaluated first? This one will get evaluated first. Who answered it? Location key first. No, Sagar. So only this one will get evaluated first. Which one? The quantities more than 10 will get evaluated first. And then this one will get evaluated second. And then lastly, this one will get evaluated. This is the order. This is the first and second and third. Okay. In this order, it will evaluate your expression. Within this filter context, what is the total sales? Now you understood what is filter context, right? With this now, the filter context is, Hyderabad. For the Hyderabad city, in Hyderabad city, more than 10 units whatever the transactions we made. For that, I need to find out the total sales. So 1, 2, 3. This is so you might be wondering. So here the filter condition got evaluated first. In this case, here we have only one Boolean filter condition. Here we have 3 Boolean conditions. 2 Boolean conditions are there, right? Filtering conditions are there. But here it's something like inside out. Inside out. The evaluation order is something like inside out. Got it? That is how it evaluates. Okay, and the next one is, so this one will get evaluated first, the inner one, and then the outer one, and then lastly the expression will get evaluated. So in the interview, they'll ask you in what order the calculate function will get evaluated. This is very much important, not only from the interview point of view, even from the implementation part of it. As a data analyst, you should be knowing this one, in what order it gets in. So that smartly, if you can put the Hyderabad here, and then if you can put here, right, it will be faster. You just assume that in the fact sales table, what is the table name? Fact sales. The fact sales table has 1 million records in it, right? So out of the 1 million record, let's assume that let's say you work for this company for the last 10 years. You know very well Hyderabad recently, you have expanded your market there, right? You recently set up your retail store there. And you know very well in the Hyderabad, you cannot expect much because recently you started your retail chain there. So hence the volume of the records will be less. For Hyderabad, let's assume that you just have 50,000 records are there, right, for Hyderabad. Okay. And what you do is smartly put here Hyderabad equal to Hyderabad, and then quantities. Out of this, out of 50,000 records, where where in Hyderabad we made transactions. So in this, more than 10 items that we sold out of this 50,000 transactions, let's say hardly 1,500 transactions, we made more than 10 items. We sold more than 10 items, in 1,500. So your 1 million records boils down to 1,500 records. On top of that, if you do the total sum of sales amount, it will be faster, right? You just think practically. If I give 100 pages, and wherein you will find each and every page, you will find transactions, right? 100 pages. And instead of 100 pages, it's something like telephone directory. How many of you know in those days we use something called the telephone directory? You just go to directly the specific place, right? Hyderabad. You just go to the Hyderabad. And then what you do is you select only Hyderabad related data. And then in that, if you take quantities more than 10, finding more than 10 quantities sold out of 50,000 records will be faster, isn't it? If you understand this one, you will be obviously changing the position here. You just shift it here and then you shift it here. Got it? Because this one, the inside one will get evaluated first, and then this one will get evaluated. Lastly, this one will get evaluated. Okay, two things. One is the interview point of view, and the other point of view is from the performance point of view. So especially when we are going to work with huge volume of the data. Okay, and in the case of any analytics project you take. Okay, so now you understood inside, outside, it will get evaluated if you have more than one filter. Okay, the next one is, now let us look at this calculate function. This is same as this one, total sales and quantity is more than 10, Hyderabad, location key, fine, everything is fine. And the last argument was the all function. I've used the all function here on the category column. This is the filter modifier function. You remember we discussed about Boolean filter, and then we discussed about the table filter. And then this is the filter, sorry, the next one is the filter modifier, I'll just put the arrow like this. This is the all function is your filter modifier. Okay, in this case, what happens when you use a filter modifier along with the Boolean filter or table filter, only the filter modifier will get evaluated first. You might be asking this question, what is this filter modifier? You did not discuss anything. I will discuss it little later. It is too early to discuss about the filter modifier now. Okay, you just think along with the Boolean filter or table filter, when you use any filter modifier like all function, all selected, and all except, keep filter, remove filter. These are all filter modifier function. So if you use this filter function along with the Boolean filter or table filter, this one will get evaluated first, and then this one will get evaluated second, and this one will get evaluated third, and finally this one will get. It's something like, outside, inside, outside, and go like this. This is how the calculate function evaluates the expressions. So the order of processing for the calculate, now you understood, right? So when you, okay, now what I do is I just, okay, now the question is here. Okay, this I will jump in little later. You will find if I talk about this now. Okay, and these are the calculated columns. We will try to create it in today's session, and also we'll create the measures, and then we'll work on this assignment. Okay, so that you will be able to understand very clearly, or some extent, right, how the DAX function works. And then what we will do is we will take a look at the calculate table. See, yeah, before work on this assignment, I will explain about the calculate table also. Calculate table also is exactly similar to your calculate function. The only difference is here, this calculate table, as the name suggests, it will return a table. Even in the case of calculate table, the syntax is same. The first, okay, in the case of calculate table, you need to specify the table name here. Sorry, here the table name. Okay, and then the first argument is supposed to be a table name, and then filter 1, filter 2, filter 2. So this is like same as your calculate function. You can use a Boolean filter, or you can use table filter function, or you can use a filter modification function. Okay. So look here, this is a table, transaction history greater than 1. So in this case, we used only one Boolean filter. Got it? Now the question is, what is the difference between calculate and calculate table? The calculate function returns a scalar. What is a scalar? Only one value. Scalar in the sense, single value. It will return a single value. In the layman's term, okay, scalar is a single value. Just think about it. Calculate function returns a scalar value, whereas the calculate table returns a table. That is the difference between these two. Look here, in this case, this calculate, this is a measure, right? This calculate function returns a single value, right? It finds out the total sales matching to these conditions, right? For these conditions, and what is the total sales? And that total sales will get stored in this one. For this filter context, what is the total sales? Within this filter context, they use this term filter context, and most of them they get confused with this term, the filter context, filter context. Don't worry about the context and all, or condition. For these conditions, for these two combination of conditions, what is the total sales? So what they say, right, the data analysis, because end of the day you work with your on-site guys, the Americans or someone, right? They use this one within this current filter context. Can you tell me what is the total sales? Okay, this is what they're asking. Okay. Okay, now I will jump into the Power BI desktop, and then we'll explain you how to use calculate function and how we can use calculate functions to create a new filter, how we can override the existing filter context, how we can modify the filter context. Those things we'll take a look at it now. Okay. Here, I have already, in the interest of time, I created the measures, everything already. You know very well how to create a measure already. I think I explained you, right? So for the sake of your understanding, those of you are quite new and experienced people, hands-on people, please bear with me. And because I have a mix of people here. Look here. So what you can do is how you can create a measure. You can create a measure going to your modeling ribbon, click on the modeling ribbon and click on the new measure. This is one way of creating the measure. There are other alternatives are there to creating measure, which I will explain a little later. At this moment, what I will do is total sales measure is a measure. For our understanding, I just put M here. Okay. Done. Now our measure got created. So on the right side of this variable, right, you will see the equal sign. Followed by the equal sign, you can see the sum function. This is the DAX function. What I will do is I'll just make it all these keywords. The sum is a keyword. It is an aggregation function. Okay. And all the keywords better, you can use the capital letter. So sales W04 is, not, you don't have to use it. Fine. So the total sales, what it does is the sum, it will take the total on the sales column. So what will happen is in this column, in the sales column, we have 100 values are there. All the 100 values will get total, and then that output will get stored in this variable. So this variable is henceforth called as a measure. Now what you do is if you click on the tick mark here, this one will get executed. In case of any syntax error, it will throw an error. I'll just click on it. I don't see any syntax error, hence I'm not getting any error. Very good. So what I do is I just check it here, and then total sales here, measure, right? I just drag and drop this out here. Look here, so that this is what we are getting it. Okay, fine. So total sales we are able to get this. Now what I do is I just copy paste this. We'll just look at the basics now, the calculate. I just click on the modeling, the new measure, I'll click on it. I'm going to use the calculate function to do this. So we know what is the syntax for the calculate function. We discussed a while back. This is syntax for the calculate. First argument supposed to your expression. Here I'm going to use this sum of sales here. Okay, intentionally I'm going to use it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the calculate function here. Calculate. This time I'm going to use the calculate along with the sum function. Remember it. And then the second argument, filter 1, filter 2, etc., filter n. These are optional. That's what I mentioned here. These are optional. It is not mandatory. Okay, it's optional. Either you can use it or you don't have to use it. Look here, in this case, I'm not going to use it, but I just wrapped this sum function with the calculate function. Okay, and when I press enter, let's see what happens. Here I did not use any Boolean filter or anything, right? So what I do is I want to display the value of this measure. As I told you, as I discussed in the past session, you cannot see the measure value unless you drop the measure which you created into a visual. So what I do is I'm going to click on the chord visual. Here I just say total sales calc. This is what we created, isn't it? Look here, I just copy paste this and I'll put it along with this so that you can refer it back later point. And I just go to the insert ribbon, and then here you will find something a text box. You click on it and then you just put it here. I just copy pasted it here so that later point in time you can refer it. Okay, and in this case, what logic I used it? If you want to see what measure or which column I used it on this specific visual, what is this visual name? Chord visual. I just click on it. Look here on the right side, this one got highlighted. So what I said was correct. It is a chord visual. And then whatever the column or the measures that I used it for this visual will get highlighted on the right side. The moment when you click on the visual, the corresponding column or measures that you have used it in this, right, will get highlighted automatically on the right side. One way it will make your job simpler. Look here, this is the one I used it here. Good, because this one got highlighted. I just click on it here. You can say, oh, this is the measure that I used it. So what I do is I just copy and then I put it along with this here so that you can refer it back later point in time. I just click on the text box. You can resize it like this, okay? And then nicely you can put it here. And I'm going to resize it. Got it? Sum of sales. So this is the, this is the function that I used. Here, the sum function got wrapped by the calculate function. Both of them give the same value, obviously, right? Because the calculate function, the first argument is supposed to be an expression. In this case, the expression is sum function. Okay, and here also it is an expression. Instead of using it separately, I have wrapped this with calculate function. Now the question is, then why should I wrap the sum function with the calculate? Okay, so you can, the reason is, with calculate function, you can apply filter on this value. Supposing I just want to see what is the sales in United States. Only in United States, what is the total sales? So for that, what you can do is you can use a slicer. For example, this is the slicer. I just clicked on this one. Okay, this is a slicer. Just beneath the visualization, I clicked on this one. The slicer got dropped here automatically when you click on it. So now what I do is I just go and select the country column here. If I just drag and drop this here, and if you notice here, okay, for example, if I select only this Afghanistan, the corresponding value got filtered automatically. In Afghanistan country, what is the total sales? Look here, in both the cases, now the total sales got changed. Now the filter context got changed. Within this filter context, what is the total sales? I did not write any specific condition here, right? Sum of sales for Afghanistan, what is the sales you tell me? I did not write anything, please. All I did was just created the measure. Both the measures are same, sum of sales, but here I wrap the sum of sales with the calculate. But in addition to this, when I use this one, right, the slicer, in the slicer I've used the country column. So when I selected a specific country, for that specific country, what is the total sales? It gives me. So in this case, what happens is the visual filter, slicer is also a visual. The visual filter got applied. Okay, fine. Okay. So what, okay, this is the one is happening here. And now what I do is I just copy paste it here. And then, is there any other way I can find out the sum of sales? Yes, you can do that. What we will do is, I'm going to create a measure. What is the difference between calculated column and measure? In the case of calculated column, for example, if I show you here, what is the calculated column here? Okay, I just, this is showing some other table. So that's why you need to be very careful. Okay, I just selected this one. Okay, it was showing the data for this. And as soon as you switch to data view, it will, by default, it will, it will highlight the first table's data. Okay, now we need to make sure that you are selecting this, the correct table. Fine. The next one is here, if you see the cat and subcategory, along with the column name, you will find something like that. Okay, the FX is formula, and then the column, calculated column. So with this, you can understand this is the calculated column we created, along with the, the value here, right? The column or something like that. If you see calculator, this is your measure. This is your measure. This is not a calculated column. This is a calculated column. Let us see, did we create? Yes, we have created something called list price. And any other column we create, region, volume, we created it. I just click on it and show you this is the region volume. This is the condition we use, which function we used it. Remember it. If the sales is 2000 or less than 2000, we just flagged those records or transfers low volume, and any values falling between these two ranges, right? The sales is more than 2000 or less than 2500 or 2500, we call it. This is a calculated column we created it. Okay, and now what I do is sales amount. Where is the sales amount column here? Okay, I'm going to create a new column called sales amount, calculated column. How do I create that? I just go to the okay, currently I'm in the data view. Here what I do is I click on the column tools, and by default, yeah, currently I'm in column tools. Click on the new column. I want to create a new calculated column here. Sales amount. Here what I do is price, list price. I have something called list price into quantity. List price into quantity. By taking the product of the list price with the quantity, I'm able to get the sales amount, right? For each record. Remember that the sales amount is a calculated column because I'm creating it inside your data view. This is called a data view. I just selected this table and then the data got displayed here. And then what I did, I clicked on the new column. And then here in the new column, I renamed it as a sales amount. On the right side, I take the list price and multiply this one with the quantity column. So for each row, it takes the list price and then it takes the quantity. So here 636 into 3, this is what your sales amount. At this moment, let's ignore about the sales column. Let's assume that in your data set, you don't have the sales column. That is the assumption here. You need to find out the sales amount. Or what we will do is, yes, we have the sales amount here. I'll give you another example. Why to use the same thing? Let me check and discount if I have anything here. Yeah, we have the discount column, right? So here what I do is I just click on this one. This is sales amount. I want to find out the net sales amount instead of giving the same thing, net sales amount. So here what you need to do is you need to subtract the discount here. So how do you compute this one? So okay, in this case, what we will do is directly we take the sales column. Already it is available. If it is confusing you, okay, guys, what I will do is I don't want to confuse you. Let us go with this. Assume that we don't have sales column, but you need to create a new column by the name of sales amount by multiplying these two values, list price into quantity. Okay, net sales, we'll discuss it little later. Okay, let's go step by step. In this case, what happens is, in the case of calculated column, this is called your calculated column. It applies this, it evaluates this expression. The right side of the equal sign is your expression. In this expression, you are taking the product of list price with your quantity column, list price and quantity column. Okay, it multiplies. So row by row, it goes to the first row and then it takes the list price and then it takes the quantity. It multiplies this one and then you get it displays the value here. Okay, and similarly, it goes to the second record. It picks up the quantity and it picks up the list price and then it evaluates this value and then it assigns this value here. Okay, it populates the value here. So in the case of calculated column, it iterates one row at a time. First it goes to this record and then it takes the list price and multiply the quantity and then it goes to the second record and then so row by row it iterates and then evaluates this expression. Hope you understood. This is what your calculated column. Okay. Can I can't I use measure to find out the sales amount? Yes, you can use a measure. So can I use the same thing directly in my measure? This is the calculated column, calculated measure. So can't I use this in a measure? Let's see what happens. If I switch to my report canvas here, right? Here I just go to the modeling tab. And then if I click on the new measure, instead of using the calculated column, I'm going to create a calculated measure. I just copied that one. And if I simply paste this here, Look here, it got highlighted with something, right? It means, something red color. So the column name, list price, quantity, these two columns got highlighted with something, right? And it underlined with some red colored thing, which means some error here, syntax error. In the case of measure, you cannot use it just like this, right? You cannot use it just like this. Either you can use a calculate function or you can use a sum x function, iterating function. In this case, what happens is you are using an expression. You are multiplying these two columns, okay, row by row. It requires row by row operation. In that kind of situation, I'm going to use sum x function. Sum x function will do the row by row operation. It will evaluate this expression row by row. It computes this value for each and every row, and then it applies the sum on that. Okay. Here, what I do is sum x is an iterating function because this function name ends with x. The first argument is supposed to be your sales table, sales W04, and second argument is your expression. Now you see, you don't see any underlined error or something, right? Everything is cool. And when you look here, this parenthesis, close to parenthesis, when I keep the cursor here, the corresponding open parenthesis it shows. Okay, each open parenthesis should have the corresponding closed parenthesis. Make sure that, okay. And when you keep it here, and look here, and if I just move this here, and if I select this one, okay, this one. So for this open parenthesis, we have a corresponding closed parenthesis. Okay, good. Syntax wise, it's good. And when you click on this, click the tick mark, this one will get executed. Done. So what I do is now I click on the code visual again. Sales amount, measure. I just drag and drop this here. Look here, all these three values are same here. You can perform a row by row operation in your measure also. Okay. Inside a measure, you can perform row by row operation. I just click on the text box. I just put it here, and then I just all these four values, measures, right, returns the same value, isn't it? So these measures got evaluated on the fly. The moment when I drag and drop it here, that time only will get evaluated. The measures will not get stored internally. Okay, this one will get computed on the fly. And this one total sales calc em here what logic that I used it here. I have used simply the calculate. Okay, this one is not, this is just simply a duplicate of this one. Here I have used the sum x function. Sum function, sum x function. All the cases I have used sum function only, but here sum x I've used it. But in the sum x does the row by row operation. So using a measure, so in a measure, you can perform row by row operation. But in the case of calculated column, you can perform only the row by row operation. Can you apply a filter? Here, you cannot do the filter. You cannot apply the filter context. So row context. If somebody is asking you calculated column, what is calculated? In the case of calculated column, it performs the row context. Row context is nothing but row by row. This one will get evaluated. That is what is called as a row context. Whereas in the case of using measure, you can apply the filter context as well as you can perform the row by row iteration, which is nothing but row context. Row context is possible, filter context is possible with the measure. Okay. Is there any way if I can do the context transition? That's what we discussed. Just for the sake of continuation, I will just explain it one more time. I just click on the, currently we are in the data view. And what I do is I just go here and then new column. Okay, here I just copy paste the same thing. Here what I do is I just use the sumx function. And if I wrap this with this one, okay, it is showing some error here, right? So why? Sumx function is a iterative function. Hence, the first argument is supposed to be our table name. In this case, the table name is sales W04. And then the next one is this one. That's all. When I press enter, so the whatever ideally I should have used, it's already there. Okay, this is calculated column. The same thing I have used it in the measure, right? When I press enter, let's see what happens. So what will happen is, since it is a calculated column, it will try to evaluate this expression row by row. But here, look here, in the case of sales amount, oh my God, I am just looking, I did the same mistake again. Look here, I just take this one. See, this is the mistake even I made it. I should not make it. See, you need to create, make sure that you are creating the columns in the appropriate table. So in this case, I mistakenly created there. Sales W04, I'm creating a new column, the calculated column with this name. And when I press enter, look here, instead of giving this value, so this price into quantity, 3 into 636 should give this value here, but it is not giving that value. It gives the overall total. It takes all the value, add it everything, and then it gives me here. So 113, 11.30 M, right? The total sales it gives me. Why? It is not doing the filter context here. It is not applying the filter context. Okay. Since it's a calculated column, it can iterate row by row. But even in this case, it iterates row by row. What happens is for, right, first record, it goes 3 into 636. Okay. And then what happens, it iterates each and every row. And for the entire table, right, it performs the sum. For each row, what happens is it iterates the entire table's records. See, look, suppose here in this case we have 25,000 records. For each row, 25,000 it gets iterated and then it gives the sum. We don't want that. So calculated column does only the row count. It is not doing the filter context. Is there any way I can change from the row context to filter context? In this case, actually the filter should be applied, right? So is there any way I can change the row context to filter context? So in this case, the calculate function is very much helpful. Now your calculate function modifies the filter. Which filter? Row context to filter context. Let's see the magic now. I just wrapped this one with the calculate function. When I press enter, what happens? So boom, it's doing a fantastic job, right? It applied the filter. Without calculate function, if I use just sumx function, what happens? It is doing the row by row context. And then for entire table, for each and every record, for the entire table, each and every record, it evaluates the expression and it finds out the total sales for each and every record. Okay. When I use sumx function, if I want to convert this row context to filter context, it is showing the correct value. But here, simply if you take list price into quantity, that is more than sufficient. You might be asking, why should I use the calculate function here in that case? Why should I use sumx function and calculate function? Just for the sake of demonstration, I used the sumx function here itself in the calculate column, and then I wrapped this with calculate function. So with this, you will be able to understand the power of calculate function. With the help of the calculate function, you can change the row context to filter context. It is helpful in context transition. With calculate function, you can do the context transition. calculate. Fine. It's possible. So with this example, you are able to understand. Okay. The next one is, okay, everything is fine. Now you understood. We can now, yeah. So going back here, right? So you can, using the calculate function, you convert the row context to filter context. Very good. And you can perform a row by row computation, as part of your measure. And using measure, you can perform the aggregation. You can perform the aggregation, right? So in the case of measure, you can perform. A measure is meant for aggregation. You just think sum of sales, sum of quantity, or count of some value, some count rows of table. So that gives you how many number of records, how many number of transactions are that, you can find it. Fine. So now what I do is I just create another visual, the table visual. I just use this thing. Okay. I just click on this. Okay. Total sales got highlighted on the right side. And I just drag and drop this. With this, you're able to understand, once you create a measure, you can reuse it. This is also another advantage. I use the same measure. I use this measure in my chord visual. Now I use the same measure in my table visual. Fantastic. That is the advantage. That is also one of the advantages of using measure. Okay, good. So now it shows the same value, but here it shows the total sales with 2 decimal value. Okay, what I do is now, this we discussed already. Anyhow, I will just show you one more time. Along with this numeric value, I'm going to, this is the one causing me confusion. Okay, what I do is in the sales W04 and the category column. So category is a text. This column holds a text value. What values? 3 values it has in it. Technology, furniture, appliances. When I drop this, what happens is, you can see the magic here. So what happened here now? We can see that the visual filter got applied here. I just convert this as a matrix visual. So now it's a table visual. Instead of using a table visual, I just click on the matrix visual. How do I convert from one visual to another visual? Just select that visual and then go and select whichever visual that you want to get converted, right? I just click on the matrix. Now it got converted from table to matrix visual. Very good. So fine. So now what happened? The total sales is 113. Earlier it was showing just 1134, isn't it? I just copy paste it here. And what I do is I just remove this. So it was showing the total sales for the entire transaction. The moment when I dropped the category column along with the total sales, it's a texted column, right? What happened? It automatically gave me the breakdown of my sales by category. In the furniture, how much sales we made in total out of this overall total. This is the overall total. All these 3 categories put together, what is the total sales? Out of this total sales, in each category, how much sales we made in total. That split up, we got it automatically the moment when I dropped the category column along with this measure. Fantastic, isn't it? Did I make any changes to the formula? No, right? So in this case, okay, what happened? 1 second, let me do one thing. I just remove the total sales here. Instead, what I will do is I will use this one. Here, I have used the calculate here. I just, okay, so this one got highlighted. That means this is the one, total sales. Okay, and okay, I should have dropped it here. This time I dropped this measure. Which one? The measure where I wrapped the sum function by calculate. Right? Fine. Okay. So nothing difference. The same thing, right? It's automatically doing the filtering. But here I did not specify any specific condition, like whenever the category comes, find out the total sales or give me the split up of total sales by category out of this total. I did not write any specific or special conditions here, right? Still, it is doing the job perfectly. So this is because of the relationship behind the scene. So this column comes from where? The category table. Okay, this column. Okay, in this case, okay, everything is on a single table. Yes, in this, right? It is automatically doing the filtering. Okay, so good. It gives me the split up. It's all because of the relationship. In this case, though we don't have the relationship, right? The same table, we are doing this one, but it is doing the the split up. It gives us the split up automatically. Fine. So in this case, what is happening is, what is the name of this visual? What is the name of this visual? I just selected this one. If you want to do, double check what this visual is all about, just look at the right side, just beneath the visualization. Look here. This one got highlighted. This is a matrix visual. If you keep the cursor, if you hover the cursor on top of this, you'll be able to understand this is the matrix visual. Fine. Okay. In the matrix visual, what happened? The moment when I drop the category along with the total sales measure, the visual filter applied. What is the visual filter? Matrix visual filter, row filter. For the furniture, what is the total sales? In this case, what happens is it goes and filter the entire records in your sales W04. The sales W04 table, take only the furniture related transactions, apply the sum function. And then once you are done with computing the total sales for the furniture, next you filter only the office supplies related transactions and then apply sum function. Okay, so that is how it is doing it. Row level filter is applied automatically in this case. For example, if I drop the segment column in the columns of your field here, look here. Now, again, we can see the, something very interesting one, right? For the sake of reference, I just so earlier we were having something like this in the furniture. How much sales we made in total out of this overall total? So 38,000. Here 38 lakh 70,000. Okay, and here I can see that the consumer segment, okay, it is repeating the same value here because some problem here, right? So relationship, all the things. Here also, right, in the consumer and furniture, it gives me the same thing, and corporate, it gives me something like this. 1 second, let me do one thing here. Category and see, I selected from some other table. The same mistake most of my report is they do it. The category, whatever the column that you are selecting it, right, it should be from the same table, but mistakenly I selected from other table. So that's why it's not filtering it correctly. Segment. You can select it from more than one table, but make sure that you have a relationship created between those tables. In this case, the sales table, is different from this table. There is no relationship created. That's the reason it was not doing the field split up correctly. And here also, I'll just check the total sales. This is category comes from sales table. Very good. So now look at the row level total. Furniture, the row level total is 38 lakh 70,000. But whereas here, I have just used category column, but here in the row, I have used the category. Furniture is the row, office supplies, these are all row header. Consumer is a column header, corporate is a column header, home office is a column header. But in this case, I don't have any column except total sales, right? So in this case, only row level filter apply. But whereas here, look at this and forget about the first one, furniture, row level filter and consumer. Out of this 38 lakh 70,000 in furniture, see, out of the total sales we made in furniture category, how much sales we generated in each segment. In consumer segment, 20 lakhs, and corporate segment, 11 lakhs, and home office. This gives me additional insight. So if you add all these values, so 31, 37 plus all these small values, right? 38 lakhs, 70,000. Here, again, I did not do any changes to my measure. I just use sum of sales, just sum of sales, that's all. But in this case, what happens is the moment when you drag and drop the category columns, like categorical variable columns, right? Or the columns that have categorical values in it, like furniture, office supplies, technology, and segment column have only these three values, consumer. So what happens is row level, column level filter this time got applied. Visual level filter got applied. In this case, row level filter. In this case, row level, column level filter. Look here, office supplies. Out of the 29 lakh 22,000, each segment, how much sales we generated, how much revenue we generated. It gives the split up automatically. The moment when I drop the column, in the columns field, the moment when I drop the segment column. Look here, in the row column, I dropped the category. And then in the segment column, I have dropped this one. So in the column, second field, the rows, columns. These are all the properties of your visual. Okay, in the visual, it's something like x-axis, y-axis. Okay, in this case, rows, columns, values. In the columns, values I mentioned about the measure. It does this splitting automatically. Okay, in case in case I used any more than one table, right? So because of the relationship between the tables, it does the filtering automatically. Since I use the columns from the same table, it doesn't require any other external relationship. Okay, it does the filtering automatically. So the point here is the visual filters applied. In this case, row level filter. Here, in this case, column level filter. Okay, now what we will do is we'll go back to our calculate function. This is the one, United Kingdom. Now what I do is I just click on any one of the measure. I just select this one because I'm lazy to type again. Why to? Because they expect you to be more productive. Okay, in the sense they want you to be much faster. You can reuse the code smartly. Okay, click on the new measure. That's why I copied there. I just paste it here. 1 second. I just okay. So here now what I do is total sales in. Let's say my manager wants to see the United Kingdom sales. Look here, sum of sales. See here, what I do is sum of sales. Okay, I'm along with this is my expression, first argument. Second argument is filter one. Here I'm going to use a Boolean filter. What is a Boolean filter? Here, country. I have something called country column is there. Look here, is equivalent to double quote. Okay, United Kingdom. So this one will give me the total sales in United Kingdom, right? That value will get stored here. Programmatically, I have created a filter here using the kingdom. For matching to this condition, find out the totals. Don't find out the total sales for all the country, only for this country. Okay, I'm done with this. Press enter. I don't see any error here. Good. The measure got created successfully. No issues, nothing. Now what I do is I just click on this visual, matrix visual. Now what I do is total sales. No, not this one. Okay. Total sales in United States. This is the one I created just now, recently. I just drop it here. First, what told is it is not showing anything here, right? So total sales in United Kingdom, it is not showing anything. Let me just see what is the problem here. I just nothing wrong here. I just create additional visual, card visual. I just drag and drop total sales in United Kingdom. It shows blank value. So why, are there any problem with this? Just click on this and then go and check, did we make any mistake? It seems, yeah, look here. I did it intentionally, guys. No one noticed this one. Spelling mistake. Kingdom, right? Press enter. So apart from the matrix visual, I use the card visual. Look here, card visual gave me a quick or instant idea about what is happening, what value got stored here, right? It showed blank. That means something wrong with the logic here, but syntax is correct. For example, had I not specified, if you start with double quote, it should end with double quote. And then you need to specify this one. Had I not specified, let's say if I specify, press enter, it will give a syntax error. Okay, look here, this is not a syntax error. So sorry, this is a syntax error, right? Because when you, on the right side of this column, if you want to compare the value of this column, right, you need to use the correct value here, right? So here, the literal, this is called your literal. So start with double quote, end with double quote. And then I have used the extra thing here, right? The parenthesis. Now I don't see any red color thing here. And then when I click on this, because of the spelling mistake, see, when you don't specify syntax, you see here, if you don't specify if you don't end with the double quote, that is syntax error. But there was no syntax error, but here I made a mistake here. I did not correct type. This is called semantics error, the logic error, okay? You need to make sure that you are giving the proper name. Fine. So I have a mix of non-developer here. That's the reason I'm explaining it in detail here. Okay, so good. So now it is doing good job. And if you go and check it here, even this one got updated with the correct value. Look here, total sales in United Kingdom. Total sales in United Kingdom. So what I will do is, it is still showing something blank here. Did I use anything here? Let me just clear on this. Okay, let it be the total sales in United Kingdom. Okay. So first column you ignore it, okay, because we have some blank records in the consumer segment. In the furniture, how much sales we made in total in the consumer segment. Okay, in the consumer segment, the furniture category, how much total sales we made in United Kingdom. Out of this consumer segment, total sales of my furniture category consumer segment, how much sales we made only in United Kingdom. You understood? That is what we are. So what we did, we created a new filter context using the calculate function. So look here, what happened here in this case. I just show you this one, total sales United Kingdom. I just copy paste it here so that we can refer it alongside with this one. I am going to click on the text box here, and here I just put it here. At this moment, you just ignore about the total sales in United Kingdom, right? So you just think about the category and category and the segment, right? So with that, what we were able to understand is, right, okay, if you look at this one here, the total sales we made in furniture is 38 lakh. So furniture, look here, the first record. If I go to the, sorry, look here, you need to see this one, okay? And 38 lakh 70,000. So now we are getting more insights. First, we started with this one. We started with this journey, right? We started our analytic journey by including category along with this measure, and then slowly evolved by dragging and dropping segment along with the category column. So it was doing the row-wise, column-wise filtering automatically without even writing any additional logic here. That's why they call it the Power BI as a low code. Okay, fine. The next one is we created only this simple measure. So now what happens is my manager wants to see out of the total sales we made in consumers or each segment, out of the total sales we made in each segment, display the values. Alongside of that, you display segment-wise sales we made in United Kingdom. Let's assume that this this office is corporate offices in United Kingdom. They sell products under these three segments: corporate, home office, and consumer. Consumer, corporate, home office. These three segments, under these three segments, and under these three categories, they sell their products. They wanted to know what is the total sales they made in furniture category, 38 lakh 70,000. In this, they want a breakdown segment wise. Out of this total furniture sales, segment wise breakdown they needed. So in home office, they made this much, and corporate office, they made this much, and consumer segment, they made this much. Along with this, they wanted to view the United Kingdom sales alone. Out of the total consumer segment in the furniture category, how much sales we made only in United Kingdom. Got it? Is it confusing, or are you able to understand? Okay, probably you can watch my video, okay, and pause my video, and then you can practice it side by side so that you'll be able to understand. When you hear it more than once, you'll be able to understand. Good, right? So good. So now you understood calculate function. Now what I do is I just select here the Afghanistan. Look here, guys, you need to look at here only, United Kingdom, okay, United Kingdom. When I click on Afghanistan, see in the slicer, I selected Afghanistan. Did you see any change here? Okay, I'm going to unselect this one, 2,40,000. It remains as it is. The rest of them gets changed. Afghanistan. Though see, when I apply the filter using the slicer here, this is called your slicer. Using slicer also you can apply the filter. I just selected Afghanistan in this slicer. The Afghanistan in Afghanistan, you show me the performance in the Afghanistan country. When you select it, that is what is happening. But alongside of this, United States, how much sales we made also should, you need to show it. So in this case, the total sales in United Kingdom, this is the measure I used it. In this measure, I use the filter conditions United Kingdom. Though I selected this value, applied this filter, my calculate function override this filter, external filter. And it still remains, hey, whatever you apply it. I will show the breakdown for United Kingdom. I will not respect the external filter. In this case, the external filter is slicer. I'll show, I will override this. Okay, he is dominating this one, right? So still it shows only, it is not getting changed. Whereas these values, the rest of the column values got changed. So if you see here in the furniture category, the consumer segment, we made 722, and corporate 7386, and the home office 2971. But this value remains constant, right? The United Kingdom remains constant. because they want to compare, each country's sales with the base location of the United Kingdom. Supposing if I want to check, for example, United States, I just scroll down here. So all the columns will display United States related performance. Along with that, United Kingdom. Now you can compare side by side with United States and United Kingdom sales. You understood? So now you understood. We can create a filter context using new filter context with the calculate function. Okay. The calculate function has the capability to override the external filter. Okay, still it remains as it is. This is the one, when it comes to the order, this is the one wins, right? He says, hey, this guy, you can ignore it because we introduced newly the calculate function filter only get it. See here, the filter is United States. But in this column, it still shows United Kingdom. But rest of the column, it shows United States related sales only. But with this, we are able to understand in the case of United States, in the furniture category under consumer segment, 3,66,430 is total sales we made. But United Kingdom, $65,000. So with this, you are able to understand quickly, hey, in United States consumer segment, all this segment, the sales is more compared to United Kingdom segments under these three categories. All the three segments, if you look at the United Kingdom sales, compare with the United States across category segment, the United States is good, right? That's what we are able to understand with this one. So what is the takeaway? The takeaway is the calculate function overrides the external filter, right? External filter, but it still respects the internal filter. Okay, what do you mean by internal filter? Visual level filter, row level, column level filter is done here. Okay, out of this is the total sales in United Kingdom. Out of the total sales in United Kingdom, how much sales we made in furniture under consumer segment? It shows us here. For dynamic, Sagar has a question. For dynamic, need to use calculate. Yes, right. So, first understand this and forget about the dynamic, all the things. Okay. The filter context, right? So what is the purpose of using calculate function? You can introduce a new filter. Okay, you can add a new filter. Okay, but the advantage of calculate function is it override the external filter, but it respects the internal filter. This is what you need to understand now. Forget about dynamic, all the things. Okay. Yeah, programmatically, what you're asking is correct, Sagar. Okay, dynamically, programmatically, yes. Sagar's question is could be like this. Here, instead of using a slicer, here also I can select a United Kingdom, right? Here also I can select United Kingdom, right? So why do I need this one? You might ask this one. If you select United Kingdom, it will show only the entire table will display United Kingdom sales only. I want to see I want to compare the United Kingdom sales along with the overall sales by category, by segment. Hope I made it very clear. At this moment, you just focus on this one. The advantage of calculating, you can add a filter context. The filter context with, this is the one, the filter here, right? You can create a new filter with the help of calculate. But even though when you selected the value, the external filter, right? When you apply the external filter, it is not obeying this one. You just think that way. It simply invalidates. It still shows only the United Kingdom. It remains constant. Based on this filter condition, it remains constant. It is not getting changed. Rest of the values are getting. For example, if I select Albania, all the other column values get changed except the United Kingdom. So I just go back to my statement, calculate. if the filter context does not exist, it will add new filter context according to the filter conditions. What is the filter condition here? United Kingdom, right? The filter context, it added a new filter context. Since this filter context is not available, it added this new filter context now. Okay, it can override the already existing filter context. So this one, right? We applied the filter, it overridden this one. Always the calculate takes the higher priority, right? It overrides this one. Hey, ignore the Albania. For this column, you show only this one. Now you understood the meaning for this definition. You can modify the filter context expression. For this, I will show you some other thing. Okay, with that, you'll be able to understand how do I modify the filter context. That one I will show you a little later. So far, I think all of you are good with this, right? Next, what we will do is, for the sake of continuity, I will continue with the calculate table function. Anyhow, this one is pending. I will explain you after I explain the calculate table function. Calculate table and calculate, both of them are same, but the calculate table function, as the name suggests, it returns a table. It returns a table. It returns a table. Okay. The first argument, see, for this is wrong here. Okay, it's not an expression, it's a table. I just go ahead and, so if it is a calculate table, and right, in that case, you cannot use a measure here. Click on the modeling tab. So far, we have created only the measure. Okay. So the fundamental building blocks of the DAX is calculated column, calculated measure, and the third one is calculated table. We are going to learn the calculated table now. So in the modeling ribbon, I'm going to click on the new table instead of the new measure. I just click on the new table. For the sake of our understanding, I just say calculate table for sales in United States, something like that. United Kingdom is equivalent to the calculate table. Here, the table name is sales underscore W04, comma. Look here, it gives us the syntax also on top here. That first argument is supposed to be table, second argument is supposed to be filter. So I'm going to use a Boolean filter. What is the Boolean filter? In this case, the country is equivalent to United Kingdom. United Kingdom. You need to use double quote. Single quote, doesn't work. Ideally, Microsoft can give that option here. Single quote should also, it should accept. You can probably send a note to Microsoft, right? in the other programming language, you can use a single quote. Start with a single quote, end with single quote, or double quote, start double quote, end with double quote. Maybe some other reason they would have kept it here. We will look here. In this case, I have used the calculate table. Okay, and then on the left side, this is the one. The output of this one will get stored here. Look here. If I go to this one got created. When I click on this, no error, nothing, fine. So if I go to the search here on the right side under the fields pane, if I calculate table sales, table sales in United Kingdom, you see here, we don't see a calculator here. Along with the calculator, we can see something like a spreadsheet. That means it's a calculator table. This is not a measure. For example, if you try to create a card visual and if you drag and drop this, it will not work, because the calculate function returns only one value. That is called scalar. Calculate function returns single value, or it returns a scalar. We can say that way also. Whereas in the case of calculate, it returns a table itself, more than one value. Right? Hence you cannot see it. Then how do I view this one? Go to the data view and then click on the calculate table measure. This is what I created, right? So this is calculate table sales in United Kingdom, calculate table. Okay, so this is what I used it. Look here, the table got created. The calculate table function returned a table matching to this condition, this table is holding only the United Kingdom country related data in it. Look here, United Kingdom. If I click on this drop down in the country, you can see only the United Kingdom is there. You don't see any other country. So that is the difference between calculate and calculate table. Calculate function will return a single value. Calculate table return a table itself. If you want, so now the question is when it is helpful, calculate table. The calculate table, if you want to do some kind of intermediary step, you want to filter or you want to take this subset of the data and store it. On top of that, if you want to perform any additional thing, you can do it. Okay, so in that kind of situation, it is helpful. Fine. Now you understood what is the difference between calculate and calculate table. What is the difference? The calculate function returns a scalar, which means a single value, whereas calculate table returns a table itself. Fine. The next one is filter function. Next topic is filter. What is filter function? How it works? This is the argument. Filter is also an iterating function, like I discussed a while back, right, at the beginning of today's session. So you can use a filter function to filter the data. Instead of using a Boolean expression, you can use a filter itself. But a filter is an iterating function, iterative function. Any iterative function takes the first argument as a table. And here it's a filter function, again, filter 1, filter 2, something. You can specify the filtering condition here also. Okay. The first argument is the table name, you need to mention it. And then the second argument is your Boolean expression that is to be evaluated for each row of the table, Boolean expression. Okay. The next one is, look here for the example for this one is inside the calculate function, I'm using the filter here, the sum of sales amount. And here I'm going to use this one. Look here, what happens? Okay, here the United Kingdom, this is the one, right? Yeah, when I selected this one, it shows, this one got selected. That means in this somewhere here, I use, look at total sales in the United States. What I do is here, I just simply copy paste this one here. So here also I've used the filter. The first one is your expression in the case of calculate. And the second one is filter. So it's somewhat similar to our filter function, right? So here, but the filter function, you can use it inside the calculate. Okay. Now what I do is I just click on the new measure. Now I'm showing a demo of the filter function, how to use the filter function. I'm going to use the same measure. I'm going to use the same measure. Okay. Total sales in United Kingdom. So this is the one. Okay. But what I do is in this case, filter. Okay. I'm using a filter function here. Instead of, this is called your Boolean expression, guys. This is called your Boolean expression. What I do is I put it inside a filter function. Instead of, so this is another way of writing it. Now the question is, can I use Boolean or can I use filter function? Boolean function, you cannot use it all the time, right? So filter function is very much helpful when you use any filter modification function and all. Look here, it gives the syntax. First argument is supposed to be table name. What is the table name? Sales underscore W04. That is my table name, comma, the filtering Boolean expression. I used it here. Okay. And here, fine. The filter function, I started, filter is a function, hence I started with open parenthesis. Make sure that you are ending with a closed parenthesis. For this calculate, I need to use one more thing here, and I just press enter. So what is happening here is, I could have used country equal to United States itself. I don't have to use the filter and all, right? This one is not at all required. I could have used this one to filter the data. But what the other alternative is, instead of using it directly here, this is called Boolean expression. I wrapped this with a filter function. The filter function, iterative function, what happens is it creates a table behind the scene, virtual table. It filters your entire table data matching to this condition. Okay, United Kingdom data, you select only the United Kingdom data. On top of that, you apply the sum. That is what is happening. Okay, so either you can use a Boolean expression or you can use a filter expression, using which also you can filter the data. Without filter also directly specifying country equal to United, also it will work. Okay, both of them are same. Now the question is then why should I use filter function? The advantage with filter function is if you want to perform any complex, if you want to apply any complex filtering criteria, right, you can go for filter condition, okay, filter function. Now so this one returns a table, guys. Okay, on top of this table, it's a virtual table. On top of this, it apply the sum, and then the calculate function will return a single value. In this case, the single value is total sales will get updated. So now I just click on it here, and then I just create another visual here. Record visual. What is the logic that I used it here and here? I just select this one again here. Total sales in United Kingdom. Filter. I just copy paste this. And then I just go to the insert and text box. I'll share this script, don't worry, so that you can refer it later point in time. On interview time also, it will be very much helpful. Okay, I'm done with this. This is my, 1 second. Okay, I just for this is the logic used, filter function. Okay, and for this total sales in United Kingdom, if you see here, it got highlighted. It must have got highlighted somewhere here. That was something. So is simply Boolean. I did not use filter all the things, right? Simply specify directly country equal to United Kingdom. That's all. But not all the time the Boolean filter. This is called a Boolean filter. It will not work. Sometimes you may have to use filter condition only. Filter function is helpful, especially when you do some kind of complex filter. Importantly, the modifier, filter modifier. I'll explain you what is filter modifier shortly. With that, I'm going to wrap up. I'm so sorry that. Don't worry, anyhow. We are going to wrap up the most of the things tomorrow itself. Okay. Look here. Here, the condition is pretty simple. But instead of this condition, I use the filter function here. Right. That's all. Both of them gives the same output. Then now the question is, why should I use filter? This is a pretty simple one. It saves my time. I don't have to write too many codes here, right? Too much of code here. Not all the time this one will work. If you want to some kind of filter modifier, all the things, right? Then you'll have to use filter. But understand both the things are doing the same job. But with the filter function, you will have some additional advantages, which we will see it little later. So now you understood what is calculate function and calculate table, the difference between calculate and calculate table you understood. And what is a filter function now you understood? Filter function is also an iterating function. The filter function, it returns a table. Okay, smartly what we did, so this filter function returned a table. On top of this table, we have performed the sum on this one, right? So this one returns the single value again, because the calculator will return only single value, scalar value, right? The total sales, both of them are same. Now the question is, the filter function also returns a table, whereas the calculate table also returns a table. Now, what is the difference between filter and calculate table? That's a good question. Okay, so what exactly the difference between calculate and filter function? What is the difference? The difference is pretty simple. In the case of filter function, it returns a table. Both the case, it returns a table. Okay, the difference is calculate table function helps you to modify the filter context, whereas the filter function does not help you to modify the filter context. You cannot change the context. Okay, you cannot change the context with the filter, or filter is not capable of overwriting the initial filter context, overwriting the initial filter context. Which one? The filter function. Okay, the plain filter function. Whereas the calculate table, it causes a context transition. You can convert the row context to a filter context using calculate table, whereas filter you cannot do it. This is a classic example. Filter function you cannot do the context transition from row to the filter context. You cannot change it, whereas the calculate table you can change the context from row context to filter context. That is possible with calculate. That is the difference between filter and calculate table. Both of them returns the table, or the output is a table, whereas the difference is the calculate table, we can change the context, row context to filter context, whereas the filter function, you cannot change the context and all. Okay, now comes to the final stage. All. We have another function called all function. Guys, don't worry. Okay, I will not bore you beyond this. Okay. So all function takes the first argument as a table and second argument column. In this case, not filter, it's a column. Either you can specify the table itself as an argument, or you can specify the specific columns, more than one column itself. Let's say in the table you have 100 columns. You don't want to use if you specify just a table, right? Let's say table is employee table, 100 columns are there. All the 100 columns, it will remove the filter. Whereas when you specify out of the employee table, 100 columns, I just need only selected three columns. You can specify the column 1, column 8, column 6, specific column names you can specify it here. Either you can specify the table name itself, or you can specify the specific column names here. So what is the advantage of all function? Returns all the rows in a table or all the values in a column, ignoring any filters. This is a very interesting part. It is useful for clearing the filters and creating calculation all the rows in a table. All will only work with the physical table reference. It will not work with the virtual table. It will work only with your physical table. Okay, enough theory. We will just directly jump into the hands-on part so that you'll be able to understand very quickly. So because of the space issue, what I will do is I will just copy this, right click on it, copy visual, and then go to the next page and then paste it here. And then let us expand this one. What I will do is, because of space constraint, I'm going to remove the United Kingdom here. Okay, cool. So now it shows only this value, right? So the furniture and consumer, it shows the sales breakdown by category and consumer. Fine, good. So there is an additional requirement. My manager wants to see the percentage of revenue generated by each category. Okay, what I will do is I will just remove this segment also for the time being. Okay, I'll just start with the simple one. Okay, so now he wants to understand and what is the percentage of sales that we made in each category. He wants to see the ratio or percentage out of the total sales, how much percentage of sales we made in each category in simple term. Okay, for this, what we do is I'm going to use the all function now. With this, you will be able to understand the purpose of all function. Okay. See, in the case of Excel, it is pretty simple, right? See, I just click on the three dots here. This is called an ellipse. You click on the show as a table. These are the values, pretty simple. Only 3 records are there. In Excel, it is pretty simple. If I ask you to find out the percentage of sales contribution by each category, what you will do? You take this value and divide this by total sales. You create another column. What you do is you just refer this column and divide it by, you refer this column. That's all. That gives you the percentage. But unlike Excel, in Power BI, you cannot do it that way. You cannot take this value, each and every value, and you cannot divide it by the total value. You don't have that option. Okay. So what we have to do is we need to create a measure wherein we repeat this value across these rows. 1,13,000, this is how much? 1 million, right? Yeah, 1,013 lakhs. So 1,013 lakhs, 1,013 lakhs, 1,013 lakhs. You need to repeat it. It might sound stupid, okay, but this is the only way you can do it. Okay, this value you need to repeat it alongside of this one, so that you can take this value and divide it by 1,13,000. Take this value 1,13,000, 45 lakhs. Sorry, 1 lakh, 1.13 million, right? So 1 million. 38 lakhs divided by 1 million. 29 lakhs divided by 1 million. 45 lakhs divided by 1 million. That is the only way you can do it. Okay. So, right, when you do it, what for that you need to, display this value across this one, right? But when you drag and drop this measure, what happens? It gives this split up automatically. The visual filter is applying it. Is there any way I can enforce the visual not to apply the visual level filter or the row level filter? Is there any way I can do that? That's where the all function is very much helpful. You just watch, with this, I'm going to wrap up. Don't worry. Okay. I could see that few of you are tired and modeling. I just click on the new measure. So what I will do is I will use the existing one, so that we can save time. Now you know how to create the measure, everything, right? Anyhow, I'll just show you with this one. Okay. So what I will do is all measure. Ignore the spelling mistake. Okay. And even I'm feeling tired because I got up so early in the morning. Calculate here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the total sales here. Look, instead of using sum of sales all the time, I'm going to reuse the measure. Sorry. Look here, the moment you need to click on this one. Okay, fine. I'm going to, instead of using sum of sales amount, right? It takes time for me to type it. Simply what I do, I reuse the already created measure. Fine. The next one is, I'm going to use the all function. Inside this, I'm going to say, what is the table name? Sales W04. That's all. I just drag and drop this here. Let's see what happens. What will happen is when I drag and drop this value will get repeated for each and every row. Where it would create all measure. Look here, this value got repeated across the rows. So what made it to repeat this value, the overall total, and how it is possible to repeat it across the rows? Because of the all function. The all function removes all the filter. So in this case, see, in this case, what happened? On this total sales, the row level total got visual filter got applied, right? Visual total in the sense, out of this total sales, how much total sales we made in furniture? Out of this total sales, how much total sales will be in operating supplies? Row visual level or row level filter got applied on top of this total sales. Now here, what happened? The all function, what it says is, hey, you simply, don't obey the row level filter. Don't respect him. Simply display the values, whatever it is. It's something like parents, if you say we don't respect, right, certain things, right? So that is what is repeating here. So now what I do is I just create a slicer to validate this and whether it is removing the filter correctly or not. What I do is I'm going to click on the slicer. Here, what I do is I just category, I used it here. Hence, I just click on the cross here because in the search, I typed all here and close this in the sales W04. Make sure that you are selecting using the correct table, and then category, I just drop it here. Now I'm going to apply the filter. How do I apply the filter? Select the values. Click on the furniture. How do I select more than one? See, my other student asked me this question. Sir, I'm not able to select more than one here. If you want to select more than one value here, you need to hold the control key and then you can select it. Look here, I'm just holding the control key and then only you can select more. But again, you have some formatting option. We will discuss it later. So I selected two values, but still this guy is very adamant, right? It ignores visual level filter. It ignores the external filter. Now, if you go back here, in this case, I have used the calculate function here. I did not use any all here. In this case, what happened? When I use the filter here, when I apply the filter using this slicer, the country column, right? Country, in this case, the slicer is having the country column here. When I selected this value, it simply, ignored this external filter, but still row level filter is happening, right? Was happening. Row level filter was happening. But whereas here, it kicks up everything. Okay. Man, I don't care whether, external filter or internal. Visual filter also, row level filter also, it is not doing it. It is not doing the row level filter. Whereas it is doing the same value, right? All these three categories put together, this is the total sales, right? It repeats the same value. Whether you apply the external filter or the default row level filter, I don't care. I display whatever. Fine, it sounds stupid, repeating the same values, let it be there. But what is the advantage of this one? Now I'm going to take this value and divide it by this value, and take this value divided by this value. It gives me the percentage. Out of the total sales, how much percentage of sales we made in furniture? Out of the total, how much sales I made in technology? So now what I do is I'm going to create another measure. So click on the modeling and I'm going to say here, wait, what is that percentage? Already I created the percentage sales all. Look here, this is the measure already created. Okay, all sales. Okay, in this case, I'm using a divide function because you need to divide this value by this value, right? The first argument is your total sales, the total sales. This one is a measure, I'm reusing it. The second one is all measure, right? All measure, yeah, all measure only, I used it here, right? So all measure. Look here. You remember, I just did some typing mistake, right? Intentionally, I did it. All measure total sales, right? So in this one, what is there? I use the all function. You remember? Don't worry, I put the everything here, okay? And here I put finally 0. The numerator is this value, the denominator is this value, and 0 is something like, if anything divided by, something, if any error comes, if nothing comes, put it 0 simply. Let's say you have something, right? Nothing comes, 0 divided by 0 is 0, something like 0. We put it 0 here. This is basically to avoid some error, something. That's why you used 0 at the end, or you don't have to specify 0 also at the end, okay? Okay, now what I do is it got created. I just drag and drop this here. Superb, right? It gives me the percentage. Now what we will do is we will put everything together here. I'm going to pull everything here. And then what I do is I just go back to my insert and then text box. Here I just put this one. Okay, and then I just select this one. We will compare this side by side and then we will wrap up. Okay, don't worry. Okay, what is this all measure? This is what the all measure one and total sales calc. Okay, that is, sorry, all measure. We want to see the all measure, right? So all measure total sales. Insert, I just click on the text button here. And this is the logic I used. The first step is you need to create this one. Second step is use a divide function. This is what the totals is nothing but this one, right? Totals is the numerator divided. So total sales divided by this value, all measure total sales. This is my numerator, denominator. In the denominator, what I did, ignore the filter. Keep the values, keep the total value constant across the row. That's it, guys. Step one, step two. It gives, and then the step two, what I did, step one, I removed all the filter using all function. But all function, you cannot use it directly. You will have to use the all function using calculate function. Okay, it's kind of a sub function, right? So you need to wrap the all function with the calculate. It is not a standalone function. You cannot use it as a standalone. You need to use it in addition to other function. In this case, it is a calculate function. Using calculate function only, you can invoke all function. So here I told, hey, use all function and remove all the filters. Don't respect both the internal and external. All else don't respect both internal and external. So in our home also, you don't respect your parents. Our public also, you don't respect anyone. It's something like that, okay? The outside and inside, you don't respect anything, right? And what I do is, okay, since you don't respect here, right? What happens? It repeats the total sales. One way it is good. So this value, I stored it in a variable called all measure. And what happened? The total sales divided by all measure, I get this one. That's all, guys. It's pretty simple. So now you understood the advantage of using all function. All function removes all the filter. Since it removes all the filter, we are able to compute the percentage. Now we understood the working of all function and the application of the all function also. With this example, you are able to understand. Any questions so far? Thanks for all your patience. But still, many of them, they dropped. Many of them, they did not join. One second. Anybody else? Sagar, you have any questions? Sagar or anybody else? Hope, what I would suggest, right? I share this report document to you. So this file, PBAX file, without file, you practice it. Don't postpone it. Don't ever postpone it. Okay. If you want to be successful,